Today, we're going to break down something that at first glance seems almost laughably basic. It's a script on how to open and close YouTube. But I promise you, buried inside this incredibly simple guide is an absolute masterclass in design, empathy, and what it truly means to make technology accessible for everyone. So this whole explainer really comes down to one simple, almost kind of weird question. I mean, really, think about that for a second. Who on earth needs a tutorial for that? In an age where most of us are just flying through the digital world on autopilot, a step-by-step guide for opening and closing the biggest video platform on the planet? It just sounds totally unnecessary, right? And yet, the answer to who needs this is actually really surprising, and it reveals something incredibly important about how we design our digital spaces, and more importantly, who we might be accidentally shutting out. The story behind this script is so much bigger than it looks. All right, so to really get the who and the why here, we've got to start at the source. Where did this tutorial actually come from? So this guide comes from a YouTube channel called Krishna Tech Vision. And the channel itself, well, it gives us our first huge clue about what's really going on. The channel's mission statement right there on the screen translates to where technology is taught in simple language. And that idea, that commitment to simple language, that is the key that unlocks this entire thing. And here it is. This is the big reveal. This tutorial was never made for the average user to read. It was built from the ground up for people who are visually impaired, people who navigate their computers using screen readers. So, just so we're all on the same page, what's a screen reader? It's basically software that reads out loud everything that's happening on the screen. The text, the buttons, the links, all of it. It's an absolutely essential tool that basically turns a visual interface into an audio one. And this entire tutorial is built around that exact experience. Okay, let's really dive into the first part of this script, opening YouTube. Because when you look closely, you'll see how every single word, every step is chosen with just incredible care and purpose. Just look at these steps. There are zero assumptions being made here. It starts with turning on the device, then connecting to the internet. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is taken for granted. This isn't just a simple list. It's a perfectly straight, unambiguous path for someone who can't see the screen. But there's one little phrase in here that is just, well, it's brilliant. The instructions keep saying to do things from the keyboard. Now, why is that so important? Well, think about it. Using a mouse requires you to see the cursor to point it and click on something. It's a totally visual act. But the keyboard? You can navigate that by touch, by muscle memory. For a screen reader user, the keyboard is home base. So bypassing the mouse isn't just a helpful tip, it's fundamental to the whole process. And this exact same philosophy, this same deep empathy, carries right over to the second half of the tutorial, how to close YouTube. And this is where a core principle of accessible design just shines. The script gives two methods. Method one is the visual way. Find that little X button in the top corner and click it. For most of us, that's automatic. But if you can't see the screen, you'd have to hunt for that one little button among everything else. But method two? That's a different story. Pressing Alt F4. That's a universal keyboard command. It just works every single time, no matter what you can see. It doesn't depend on the visual layout at all. So you've got one method that's visual and depends on the situation, and another that's non-visual and absolute. Providing that second option, that is the very heart of digital inclusion. It's all about creating pathways that work for everyone. So look, the really crucial point here is that this simple script is doing so much more than explaining how to use an app. It's actually teaching us all a much, much bigger lesson. So what are we learning here? Well, we're learning that being clear isn't just about being direct, it's an act of kindness. We learn that instructions have to be completely explicit, with no room for guesswork. We see how the keyboard is this powerful key to unlocking access for so many. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, great design doesn't just serve some of its users, it empowers everyone. So what started out as a tutorial that looked almost silly is actually a really profound piece of communication. It's a lesson in putting yourself in someone else's shoes, or in this case, hearing the internet through someone else's ears. It's a blueprint for what digital empathy really looks like. And that leaves us with one final thought, a question for you, really. We all have skills that feel obvious to us, right? Things we do without thinking. So, What's a simple piece of knowledge you have that, if you just explained it with this much care and clarity, could unlock a whole piece of the digital world for somebody else? Something to think about. Thanks so much for watching.